Rob Stephenson serves as the STEM consultant, for Ingham Intermediate School District. He's been awarded with the 2006 Presidential Award for Excellence in Science Teaching. He was the 2009-10 Michigan Teacher of the Year and 2010 National Teacher of the Year finalist. Rob is also the creator and host of Curious Crew, goodness sakes, an Emmy Award-winning children's science television show on PBS. Tonight, he's going to talk to us about opportunities and challenges associated with televising three-dimensional learning. Please welcome Rob Stephenson.
Thanks, James. It is such an honor to be here, and I love hearing Rich's story. I am a big fan of Rich. I've been in his classroom, and he is an amazing educator. So kudos to you, Rich. Thank you for sharing your story. I am Rob Stephenson, as mentioned, STEM consultant at Ingham ISD, and funny, I just had an NGSX training today, and so I raced over here and pulled in just a short while ago. Spent a long time in the classroom, and then a stint as an administrator before joining the ISD at Ingham. And I do want to talk to you about the opportunities that are associated, and the challenges associated with televising three-dimensional learning, which is sort of a strange topic. But I want to wait to get to the televising piece and go back a little bit. Like many people in the room, I always loved science. I always loved to discover. I was the kid who took everything apart, whether I had permission or not. And my dad would say, just don't plug it in now. They'd find me under the table trying to figure out how the drop leaf table worked, because I really wanted to know. So when you start thinking about these kinds of inspirations that surround us, we can't help but gravitate towards science and the STEM fields. And honestly, all of my interests that I tried to bring into with my students in my own classroom were largely the result of being inspired by other people. I mean, that's always what it comes down to. You can have as many accolades as you want, but it's always the result of the other people who invest in you. And when I think about the people who invested in me and who completely altered my thinking, I want to give a shout out to three people. First of which happened to be Dr. David Keller, who was my science instructor in my graduate program at Kent State University. And this is way back in the 90s. And he introduced the idea of using discrepant events in science. And I would imagine some of you use discrepant events. Discrepant events are very exciting. And it completely transformed my classroom instruction, and I was eternally grateful to him. In 2006, I was fortunate to go to Washington, D.C. and meet Dr. Celeste P. Amazing woman, works for the National Science Foundation. I was down there for a week, and she introduced me to STEM education. Truly my first introduction to STEM education, and then I left there thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do because I'm not doing this at all. But she inspired me, and she inspired everyone that she spoke to, saying, carry the torch of STEM education, speak about this, make a difference. And so, of course, I transformed my teaching practice yet again, thinking about engineering design. What can I do with the kids to give them constraints, design challenges, and prototypes and whatnot? And then I have to give a shout out to Brian Reiser and the NGSX team, because honestly, I thought I knew NGSS until I met this group of people. And then I was so immersed with all of these other wonderful learners in this process, and now I have such a deep appreciation of three-dimensional learning, and yet again, I recognize how much more there is to do as a science educator and how we can help one another in this process. So Dr. P had challenged all of us, carry the torch on STEM education, speak on its behalf, and I served as the 2009 Michigan Teacher of the Year and 2010 National Teacher of the Year finalist. What's my platform? STEM education. It better be, because Dr. P is going to come after me if it's not. And I am so grateful to both Michigan Department of Ed and U.S. Education Department to give me the opportunity to even speak on that platform. And everywhere I went, I'd hear teacher stories, and you think, oh my gosh, I have so much more to learn. I have so much more to do. And you take that back and try to assimilate it and share it. All the while, I am trying to establish partnerships within my local community. In my local community, I live in East Lansing area. Michigan State University is there, and there is a public television station, WKAR. They contacted me and they said, hey, what do you think about doing something on TV with science? I'm like, okay. So we ended up filming these 9 segments. They're very short, 54 seconds long, and they were called the Science Minute. And you'll see there's a couple of kids in there with me. Those are my own kids, Rebecca and Andrew. And we went in one afternoon and we filmed these 9 segments, and they were going to show them in between programs on children's public television for our local station. Awesome, that's great. So that was the end of it, I thought. And we got some really good feedback. And so the station contacted us and they said, how can we escalate this? How can we scale it up to a bigger program? Do you want to do that? I'm like, okay. So why not? Curious Crew is born. We develop a pilot. We have these auditions. Kids come from around the region. And within the program, it's me with 9 kids, the crew, and we interact with science investigations. And there's a STEM challenge built in there. And in fact, this was for our local community. I was well aware that all of our schools in the immediate area were really struggling in science. Our scores were terrible. I knew that a lot of elementary schools weren't even teaching science in my area, and it hurt my heart. And so I thought, okay, what can we do to make this accessible? And so my original goals were kind of like what Rich was sharing previously, thinking about, okay, we'll explore science principles through hands-on, entertaining investigations. It'll be great. Kids will love science. We're going to inspire viewers to look for science in everyday places. It'll be great. Kids will love science. And we're going to serve as a resource for teachers and parents who want to promote science, and everybody will love science. It will be great. So those were my original goals. And we started developing this, and you can see the inspiration why I give shout-outs to people. Every program starts with a discrepant event. Not my idea. Thank you very much, Dr. Keller, for the inspiration. It's brilliant. And you can see the connection to phenomena, right? So every episode starts with a discrepant event. It grabs the viewer's attention. It makes the kids start to wonder. We go through a series of investigations, and then right in the middle of the program, there's a STEM challenge. Thank you so much, Dr. P. I'm trying to do right by you. So we have the STEM challenge in the middle. The kids have a design engineering task to do, working within the engineering and design process, and working within constraints. They develop prototypes, and most of them fail. And we televise that because that's a good thing to show. So then I think about Dr. Reiser and the NGSX team, and I'm like, okay, how can each episode integrate 3-dimensional learning? I'm doing some really cool stuff. Kids love science. How can we really integrate 3-dimensional learning? What an opportunity this is. And when I think about how fortunate I was to go through the NGSX training with a lot of the people in this room who I have great respect for, I've been doing facilitation with that for the last year and a half, and by this June, we will have trained in Ingham over 300 K-12 teachers in NGSX. And as I talk to them and I hear their stories and what they're doing in the classroom, I keep thinking, how can I bring this into the program? It's such an opportunity. Teachers all over the country and in the state of Michigan are grappling with, what does this look like? What does 3-dimensional learning even mean? How can we model it? And whenever we get teachers being able to see other teachers, they're like, oh, that's what I need to do. And we can start pairing them up. And I thought the medium of television could be accessible. How can we take an existing program and then move it forward to even transform and support the education community even further? Then I have to face reality, and I'm going, okay, there's challenges here. What are the challenges? First of all, under our current production schedule, I have to film 2 episodes in 1 day. It's really fast. And to be perfectly honest, it doesn't give kids time to build or develop collective understanding. It just doesn't. It's too quick. So I'm thinking in terms of, okay, we got to somehow address the budget because we have to have more filming time. We have to have more editing time. We have to be able to capture those nuggets of discovery as the kids are doing this heavy lifting and showcase that for the viewers and for the teachers. So a lot more editing, a lot more filming. And then a challenge that I think that everyone has grappled with in this change, content. What are we going to use for content? Content that's aligned to the NRC framework, that's aligned to NGSS. This is going to have to be developed. It's going to have to be vetted. And then, of course, the reality from my producer, Rob, it still has to be good television. Okay, how do we make it so it still is engaging enough to actually watch? So some challenges, but what an opportunity. Because I think as we use this medium and the fact that it's growing anyway, it started out for my local community, but it's grown. And I just want to share this for a minute because it's kind of fascinating. This was unexpected. After the first year, we ended up getting a national award. The program got a national award. It was called the NIDA Award, never even heard of it, for community impact in the public, just for public television. And I was astounded, excited, proud. And as a result of that, other markets in Michigan started to take note. And in our second season, we debuted statewide, which was another surprise. Last June, it received an Emmy, which is an even bigger surprise. So third season, I'm like, okay, we're having expanded viewership. What can we do? We've got to carry this torch further. So we've got a new segment that we've put in for season 3, which is called Curious About Careers, in which we're highlighting women, professional women in the STEM fields. And we've got this great little girl named Jenilyn who goes out and does on-the-spot interviews with these amazing women to showcase them. And they're actually putting these interstitially now between programs as well, which is really exciting. We've also ramped up our work with the research community. And we were in the source of a 2-year research study, which is already getting some pretty positive findings about kids who view the show have an increased belief in their own ability to go into a STEM career. Well, I hope Dr. P is pleased with that, because that really makes me happy. But at the same time, I keep thinking, okay, we're doing some great things, but when I go back to those original goals, I still care about my local community. So we're trying to go out into the schools, we're trying to go out into the libraries, we take kids with us, and that's when I get to hear, I'm gonna get a little misty now, I get to hear the testimonials from kids who view the show, who share with me how much they enjoy it, how they're recreating the experiments, how they're doing these design tasks. And I have this image of this one family with these 3 little girls who told me that they have overhauled their basement. It's a science lab. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, that's amazing. And so when I think about these original goals I had for the show, I feel like we met those. But with expanding viewership and an opportunity, we're currently preparing for national distribution. What an opportunity if we can take this program and leverage it with 3-dimensional learning exercises to model for teachers, support kids in their thinking, and really make them wonder when they tune in without just an answer directly given to them. I've got some work to do. But at the same time, when I look around this room, I gave a shout out, obviously, to the 3 people up front. And I truly believe this is one of the greatest times for us to be science educators. This is incredibly exciting. It's daunting, it's overwhelming, and when I think about what teachers are grappling with around the country, trying to shift their instructional practice, have a growth mindset, and really change their thinking to bring this 3-dimensional experience to their students, it's challenging, but worth it. And at the same time, I think that Michigan has done a lot of things right. We have supported one another. We have done this through collaboration. And truthfully, those 3 people that I gave a shout out to, what I now want to do is give a shout out to everybody in the room, because all of you continue to inspire me as well. So thank you.